Okay, so let me just give a little bit of a background first of all. CAS is Client Accounting Services, and Client Accounting Services is probably either the hottest or one of the hottest new growth areas in accounting. So the first thing I want to go into is just what is CAS? So there's a traditional view of what CAS is, and most people have always been doing it a little bit. First of all, it's after the fact financial statement preparation. This is what most people would call write-up work. And it also contains making financial statements and stuff like that. The second thing is transaction processing. This is processing of accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, and payroll taxes and other things like that. In my webinar, I'm not really going into any payroll, although if you do full service payroll with payroll relief, you're also can offer that, and it's very easy and efficient to offer. And finally, there's the outsourced CFO or maybe controller services. These are like higher level services that you as an accountant can offer to your clients to review what they're doing and also to provide like managerial type input on to help them with various business decisions. Now, this definition of CAS is limited. In our view, if you're really a practitioner of CAS, what you're going to do, it depends upon what your client needs. Some clients need and will want you to do everything. Other clients may need and want to do everything themselves, and there could be any variety of things in between that also. Basically, we think accounting clients can be classified into three main categories. One is the clients who write manual checks. This is basically like the traditional after the fact write-up work. The second one is what I mentioned, is clients who want to offload most or all of their accounting work to their accountant. This is what we call outsourced accounting services. Don't confuse this with the offshore accounting services, which means taking accounting work offshore, like into another country and having people do it there. And finally, there's the clients who want to do some of the accounting work. Maybe they want to do some transaction processing. And in a professional system, accountants can work collaboratively with their clients while the accountant remains in full control. And that is done through our permissions opportunities and screens. In our permissions, although I'm not really going into it in this, you can give just a few permissions or give a lot of permissions to your client, which allows them to do what they want to do and also allows you to keep them from making mistakes. So why CAS and why offer it now? If you gathered all of your accounting clients into a room and you asked them this one question, if you love doing accounting, please raise your hand. I'm sure that you know that almost no hands would come up. Very few clients really like doing accounting. Now there's three compelling reasons why you should offer CAS. The first is the clients want it and the clients desperately need it. Sometimes they may not really know that they need it. They may not even know that it's available yet. But if you don't start offering it to them or letting them know that it's available, somebody else may step in and do it. And when you use the right solutions, which of course I feel ours is excellent for this, you can offer CAS and still use about the same resources your firm currently uses for client accounting work. And finally, you can potentially grow your profits by 100% or more without adding clients or staff, because now you're able to generate revenue from offering these new services. The bottom line is if you offer CAS, it's a win-win for both you and your clients. They don't really want to be doing accounting, many of them, and you can do it for them, remove that burden from them, and make more money for yourselves. So the first thing that I'm going to go into is I'm going to show some of the account management and CFO tools in Accounting Power. And I'm going to give a few tips on various ways to use them. The Snapshot, we have alerts, ratios, dashboard, client notifications, and bill payment services are basically what I'm going to touch on. There's more than just that that's in the system, but that's about what I will have time to do. So first of all, the client snapshot, and this is a theme that I'm going to go back to a few times during this webinar. The snapshot is like a lot of screens or a few screens that we have where you, the accountant, are able to see information about all of your clients in one spot. This makes it very easy to manage your practice. So in this case, the client snapshot, right now I have it set that it's for clients with alerts. So when you come in, you only see the ones who have special needs or alerts that you should attend to. And just a quick little thing I want to point out about alerts is they're client specific. So you notice that Apex Software has $5,000 in their cash balance. High Power has $8,000. Those are both alerts that it's getting low. Whereas El Jardín Zoológico only has $1,000, but yet there's no alert because maybe you know for that company that's a traditional balance they keep. So you can also change it to show all clients. And when you're looking at all the clients, you could choose a particular client if you wanted to see it. You can, as I'm going to show in a minute, you can also click on any of the headings to find out specific information. And on this particular snapshot, you notice 3J Software, their accounts receivable, $291,000, and an alert has been set up to let you know that their accounts receivable are too high. Suspense. Suspense is when entries are being made by your staff or by your accountants, but no one is aware of how to properly code it yet because maybe information needs to be gotten from the client. So this lets you know that there's transactions that need to be coded for specific expense accounts. No. Okay, thank you. Apparently there was a little mix-up, so let me go back. I'm going to go back kind of to the beginning here. I'm sorry. Why CAS? As I said, the clients desperately need it. But if you use the right solution, you can offer CAS and you can potentially grow your profits by 100% or more without adding clients or staff. So now I'm on the account management and CFO tools. These are the things I'm going to be showing. I'm going to be showing the snapshot, the alerts, ratios, dashboard, client notifications, bill payment services. This is the client snapshot. It's for alerts. Sorry that I'm going through this again, but there was a problem with the screen advancing before. The one thing I wanted to show here was this one client. Even though their cash balance was low, it didn't come as an alert because these are client specific. What's a low balance for one client is not a low balance for another client. This is the snapshot showing all of the clients. As I mentioned, accounts receivable for 3J Software is outside of what is their range of normal, 291,000. And also suspense needs to be worked on for El Jardín Zoológico. So certain accounts need to be coded for that client. So the point that I'm trying to make here is you can see all of your clients in one spot, which I mentioned before, and see what needs to be done. So it makes it very easy to manage your practice. Another way you can use this screen is by clicking on any of the headings. You can then sort. So in this case, I clicked on current period. So now it's all sorted by current period. So as the accountant or the managing accountant or maybe the partner in charge of these clients, I can come in and see the status of all the clients I'm interested in. I can see that this one's really up to date, Castroville Markets, High Power Engineering. And ABC Corp and Studio 53, they're behind. Now they may be behind just because that's what we're doing. We're doing write-up work and it's old for them. Or it may be that somebody's falling behind in the office on what they're supposed to be keeping up to date with. So those are the alerts, but how do you set up the alerts? The way you set up the alerts is you go to the Preferences screen. So you go to Alerts by clicking right on this, and then from there, you have to click on Preferences. And in here, you can set up exactly what you want the alerts to be. So in this case, that was for 3J software. I'm saying that anytime accounts receivable are above 250,000, I want to be notified, or I want my clients to be notified. You also have the ability to send an email alert if you choose for these 4 main categories to your clients. So in this case, I want, if accounts receivable are above 250,000, the client is going to be alerted of it. You also have the ability to set up that you can get alerts when ratios are outside of a certain range for the client. And I'm going to go a little bit more into ratios in a minute. Okay, so since this client's accounts receivable were too high, this is just an example of the alert they would receive. Dear Mac Apple, this is a financial alert. Please be advised your total accounts receivable were 288,000. That exceeds normal for your clients. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact our office. And as the accountant from the other screen, you also know that their accounts receivable were outside of the range. So you could have already contacted them yourself if you wished. And coming soon, we're going to also add the ability to send, rather than just an email, to send a text message alert, which is similar. We have some text messages in payroll relief. So that will be coming very soon. The next thing is the ratios. So how do you set up the ratios or get the ratios that you want to be displayed? Or where do you go to look at the ratios? You go to Trial Balance, Financial Ratio. And when you come into this screen, as you notice right now, I have it set up and I'm only showing 6 different ratios. And that's because what you can do, you can set up exactly which ratios you're interested. Different industries, different type of companies, of course, will have different needs for which ratios you want to display. So you would go to Setup, click on it, you come to a screen here, you can see which ones you want to select to display. You also can enter the industry standards, and there's also, it lets you know what the formula is or how we specifically calculate that ratio. There's a little bit more detail if you go to Help also on how we calculate the ratios. The dashboard. The dashboard is like the complement to the snapshot. Snapshot gives you a little information about a lot of clients or all of your clients, whereas the dashboard gives you a lot more detail about a particular client. So if I had seen that one client had an issue, I could click from the snapshot on that client and it would take me directly into that client and I could go to the dashboard. But let me just kind of go over a few of the different things we have in the dashboard. for you, and also you can allow your clients to see it. First of all, we have a net profit loss comparison here. And you can see this company was kind of chugging along last year, pretty much at 80,000 for each month. Now this year they're doing much better. So this gives you something to discuss with your clients. Or if it had been the reverse, it was doing worse, you could call up the clients, well, I see this is happening or that is happening. You can see at a glance the cash balances, so you know if any particular account is being low, you know they need to have more money in their payroll account, you can let them know. The projected cash balances. This is a 1 month of projected cash balances or cash flow for future periods. And what it's based upon is what the cash balance is in the account as of today, and then with expected receivables and payables. So as you can see, there are a lot of receivables are coming in and a few payables, so it changes the amount. Here are some of the other things that we have. The customer invoices. So let's say on one of my clients, I had seen that they had a problem. The accounts receivable were too high. I could go directly into that client, go to the dashboard. I can come to this screen. I will see all of the receivables that are there. I would be able to click on the heading to sort and see which one had maybe the highest outstanding. So I can see that Big Dan's Machinery owes 104,000, which is pretty high. You could also click on the due date and see which ones are oldest. So we see, even though it's a small amount, this Duarte Hills Excavating is a very old invoice. You can get your client to maybe get on that client, maybe realize they're never going to be able to recover the money from that client, so it has to be set up as a bad debt or something of that nature. But the idea is here you get a lot of information about any particular client, very easy for you to manage without having to go too many places. You can set up the dashboard so both you and your client can see it, and you can customize what you want to be seen and also how you want some of the graphs to display. Okay, the client notification screen. Once again, this is that same theme. You can see all of your clients in one spot, and it makes you easy to view and see which clients need things done. In my case here, I had clicked on the heading checks to be printed. So I can see, wow, White Horse Sales has 9 checks that need to be printed. Mullins has 8. You know, in a real environment, instead of like a test environment that I'm showing, the numbers would be much higher, but the idea is still the same. You can see at a glance what needs to be done for a particular client. You can see if you set them up for bank feeds, which I'm not really going into bank feeds in this one. You can see the last time they imported a bank statement, or you imported the bank statement. You can see if they're set up for Checkbook IO with digital checks. You can see if there's invoices that are pending, and you can also see if they set up with a merchant account for receiving payments. Now, a powerful thing about this screen, and also the bill payment screen, on top of the fact that you can monitor all your clients in one spot, is it makes it easy for you to email communication with your clients, especially en masse. In my example, I'm only going to show 2, but I'm here and I see I have a couple of clients who don't have bank feeds, so I want to set them up for bank feeds. Excuse me. So all I do is I come in here, I mark the 2 that I want to send out the letter to help them set up and register for bank feeds. I now click on email. Once I click on email, we have several different canned letters that you can set out to your clients. And in this case, I'm sending out the one, sign up for bank feeds. And I'm not going to really go into it, but they'd get an email, they'd click on a link, it would take them to the screen to enter the information, and it would get them set up. The main point to take away from this is how easy it is. If you had 30 clients you want to do it, you would come to this screen, check the 30 boxes, and then click on email, and all 30 would go out. In a flash, that work is done. So the next thing I want to show is how you can offer an easy, lean process for doing a bill payment service for your clients. And the main steps in this is, first, a client takes a snapshot of an invoice, and this is from any smartphone. And just as an aside, right now, and this will be coming out pretty soon, maybe in a couple of months, is we're also adding an app for it. Right now we have it where it's done through a web page, which can be marked as a favorite in on the phone. But once there's an app, I think clients nowadays, and most people, are much more comfortable with using apps in today's environment. So that'll be coming out soon, and the app will do a lot more than just this, and it'll be also used in other programs, like it can be for employee center and payroll, and a few different things. So anyway, the client takes a snapshot of the invoice. This can be from any smartphone. The invoice is then saved in Accounting Power. The client says which vendor he was at, or which vendor the invoice was for. The next step is, when your staff logs in, all the uploaded invoices are displayed. The staff enters the invoices, and then with a mouse click, they can send the entered invoices to the client for approval. The client approves the invoices to be paid, and then the approved invoices are paid for by the staff, by your staff, if you're offering the bill payment services. And of course, this can be done by printing out checks and stuffing envelopes and things of that nature, but a much easier, more efficient, and time-saving method is to use digital checks. And this type of bill payment service can be highly profitable. Our research shows that $5 per bill is a typical amount to charge. Some people charge more even. So it can be a highly profitable service to offer your clients without a lot of extra work. So anyway, how do we make it easy to manage this process also? Once again, we have a screen where you can see all of your clients in one spot. And in my particular case, I clicked on Bills Unprocessed, so I can see which clients need my staff to go in and enter the bills. And unprocessed means that the client has taken a picture of an invoice and uploaded it to be processed by you and your staff. Now, there's a couple of features that we have here. You notice that I'm on a client called Award Solutions. Even though I'm on that client, if I happen to click on Bills Unprocessed for Whitehorse Sales, I can see all the bills that need to be processed for that particular client. The same thing goes for bills to be approved and bills to be paid. So if I click on bills to be approved, even though I'm not in that client, I can see exactly which bills are waiting for approval. I can see which date I did them. These are two that I set up today for the webinar. Same thing would go for bills to be paid. Which ones are now, they've been approved, but they still haven't been taken care of and paid yet. So it makes it very easy to really get a lot more information right from one screen about all of your clients. One final thing, let's say here I see, I want to go in and process the bills for Whitehorse Sales. All I have to do is click over here where it says Whitehorse Sales, and now that'll automatically take me into the correct client and to the correct screen for entering the bills. Next thing I would do, I would click on the drop down for the unprocessed bills, and I would select which bill I wanted to do, which in this case, it was the one for 3J Software. So then the bill will appear right there, and then you make the entries right while you're looking at the invoice. One question comes up occasionally is, do we do OCR? And as of now, we do not, but just today we were viewing a webinar from a company that can offer it for us. So we're heading towards that too, and I don't believe that will be far away. Although invoices, there's always inherent things because all invoices are different. They're not like when you're trying to scan in a W-2 that all W-2s look the same. But anyway, that is on the horizon and coming. So it's pretty easy to enter. The invoice is now entered directly from here. That invoice is now saved in the system. Anytime you go back to this bill, that invoice is there, and you can see exactly what information I used to enter the bill. Maybe the bill was entered correctly. Maybe if I had come over here and entered 24,000 instead of 2,400, I would then be able to easily, when I'm doing my review work, to find out just what happened. Or if the IRS wants to know, where did you come up with this expense? It's very easy to then click on from the trial balance, click on that line, and then you would go to listing of all the transactions for that line, and then you could go in and also see the invoices for it right to the source document. So the next step is now I entered a couple of bills. How else can this screen help me? What this screen does is it walks me through the process of offering the bill payment service. So now I entered 2 of them. So now instead of having 3 that are unprocessed, I just have 1, but now there's 4 that need to be approved. And once again, once I have something to be approved, it's very easy for me to communicate with my clients what needs to be done. So all I would do, I would come over here, mark all the ones I want to send to my clients, maybe these 2, 4 and 19 that need to be approved. I would just check these boxes, click on email, choose which one it is. And in this case, I want to use to approve pending bills. The email will go out to the client. Client can be on their computer, they can open the email, or they can be on their smartphone. Either way, all they do is click on the link. It'll bring open a little screen for them, and then they choose which bills they want to approve. In my example, I'm going to approve all of them just for ease, but they maybe if they had a problem, they weren't sure why the bill with Dave Mullendor was 2,400, they could leave that one different, or they could, leave it unpaid, or they could also enter a different amount. Once they click to approve it, it lets them know exactly how much they're specifying they want to pay, and they can specify what date they're paying, want it to be paid on. So now, as you can see, once again, the flow goes right on through. Now there's 0 bills to be approved, 6 to be paid. So the final step at this point for offering the bill payment services would be, how do I pay the bills? And we want it to be done through digital checks. And I have to say, so far, I'm a little disappointed that not more people are using the digital checks, because it seems like such an easy way to offer this service to the clients. It's very easy to pay the bills. The vendor will receive an email, they enter information, and the funds are sent directly into the account. This is available. In my case, I'm showing how you can do it for making payments to vendors, but it's also available for receiving payments. And in order to pay with digital checks, you just go right to the regular check writing screen. You select which ones you want to pay. If a client doesn't have an email, you can't take care of that client with a digital check. So that's why we listed the emails here. Although even if you did check it, it would let you know that which client did not go through because they didn't have an email. But you just select which ones you want to do, click on digital checks, and email goes out to the clients. The client will, the client's vendors. The vendor will receive the email saying that the digital check's been sent. They can see the copy of the check. Once they select to do this, the next time it's done, it automatically knows all the banking information. So they don't even have to come here to do anything to enter any information going forward. If a client is hesitant about entering the information, two things. First of all, we're coming up with an email that can be sent from a client to his vendors to let them know that he's going to be offering this type of payment service. And the other thing is, some people will never be comfortable with it, but it's very easy in today's world. You just print this check out, and then you can, the vendors can just deposit it directly, usually right from a smartphone, into their banking accounts, or they could take them to the bank and deposit it. And the beauty of this is, once all these payments go out, it's very little work for you as the accountant. Since it's done this way, all the payments are automatically recorded. As you can see, the $4 was here. One other quick thing that I meant to see here is, from this screen on a bill list, you also have the ability to drill down and see all the attachments and see where that bill came from. That's just an aside that I pointed out there. You can also go to the journals. You can see the payments were made. So the next step, though, is, okay, this looks great, but how do I sign up for the digital checks? And I'm not going through each step, but it's a pretty easy client. The person who is signing up for the digital checks, though, is the one who is using it. So if you as the accountant are doing it for your own accounting and you're paying your vendors and you're also receiving payments from your clients, you're the one who sets it up. If it's being done for one of your clients, they're the ones who have to set up the relationship. Now, you could be doing it together with your client, or you can just let them know that this is what needs to be done. So first of all that happens is you click on digital checks. It takes you to a screen from Checkbook.io. They come here. AccountantsWorld would like to send checks on your behalf. If they already have an account with Checkbook.io, they just log in. If it's a new account, they click on register. They're going to enter the appropriate information. They sign up. They say what type of an account. Typically, it would be a business account, although for some Schedule C type clients, it may be individual. And it can all be done right then and there, the registration. They verify the phone, very similar as to logging into our system. Enter the phone number. It's like a two-factor type thing. They verify it. They'll get a message and they verify the number. And then they can also go, after the next step is, and instantly verify the bank account by following the login procedures for that bank account. None of this login information, very similar to what's done for bank feeds. You don't have to know the login information. And it's kept in a way that no one really knows what the passwords are. The passwords are kept secure. It's a very secure system for that. So that's basically how the digital checks would be set up. Once the digital checks are set up, Checkbook.io has a dashboard that you, if you're using it, or your clients, if they're using it, can come to and see various features about what's going on. The address, the web address, is just checkbook, no space, io.com. And it will take you in here. There'll be a login. In my case, this is an account that I've set up for testing it. You can come in, you can see activity for the month. So there were 3 checks. I also received, 4 checks. I received 3 invoices. You can see the details of the various checks that were done or invoices that were received. And you also have the ability to go into the settings. And I'm pointing this out because there is one feature that sometimes needs to be adjusted, and that has to be done between you and Checkbook.io. So if you come here, go to settings, a little window will come up with a lot of information, but part of the information will be the limits. And there's limits that are set up within Checkbook IO to protect you or to protect your clients. So you can set up a daily limit. In this case, it's set up that it's $2,000 per day, $15,000 per month, and no particular check can be more than $2,000. Now, if these limits that are the default limits aren't good, you can contact Checkbook IO and they can, after doing their due diligence, they can change them for you. And one thing that we're doing in the future is during our the registration with Checkbook IO, a screen will come up showing what the limits are for you, and you'll be able to right at that point to request to have them changed with Checkbook IO. But this is an important thing. You need to know what the limits are. So it's good to go in here. And it's also, the dashboard's a very powerful tool that's offered by Checkbook IO to give information. Okay, so now that was basically the bill payment service and how easy it is to do and to follow the flow and everything else in order to use it. Invoicing can also be something that you can offer for your clients. And it depends upon the type of business, of course. A lot of businesses will be doing their own invoicing, and it's very easy for you to give the permissions to just do invoicing and nothing else if that's what you want. And as I mentioned before, by restricting what your clients can get into and do, it, number one, cuts down on errors. Number two, cuts down on confusion for them. They don't have to see all the screens that maybe they're not interested in, such as a trial balance screen or other screens. So it just makes it a lot easier to keep your clients doing just the right thing, not changing all your chart of account numbers and everything else. You don't have those type of errors to go back and mop up after your clients with. But anyway, certain types of clients are good for you doing the invoicing for the clients, especially clients that have a lot of recurring type of invoices. So maybe it's an apartment house, or it's a commercial building, and they have the rents are exactly the same or similar each month. Or a service type of business, like my father-in-law had a landscaping business. Every month we would handwrite, this is 30, 40 years ago, but we'd have to handwrite over 100 invoices out every month to mail them to the clients. Those days are gone. Of course, those days are long gone, but what you do, you can set up an invoice. If it's recurring and the same, it'll automatically recur. And then all you have to do is send out the invoice in an email to each of the customers. Once the invoice is sent out to the customer will receive the invoice. So here, I sent myself one from 3J Software. And Dave Manel, thanks for your business. Please remit payment. And it's very easy for the customer to pay. And this definitely helps with accounts receivable also. There's a few reasons people don't pay. One reason people don't pay timely is it's just too hard to pay timely, or they're just too busy. So in this case, it makes it very easy to do. All they do is they come here, they click on the link. Once again, doesn't matter if they're at on a smartphone or they're on a computer. They would then choose if they wanted to pay by digital check or to pay by credit card. If you set up a merchant account, they can pay by credit card. The problem with the credit card is fees are much higher when you're using a credit card than paying by digital check. But they come to a screen, they can see all the open invoices, they choose which invoices they want to pay, and then they go ahead and do it. And once again, at that point, all of the journal entries would be automatic. So if you have a client with 150 150 clients and they're pretty they're all on a recurring basis, the same amounts. The emails go out just in one or two steps to the clients. Say 80, 90% of them will use this method to pay. That's over 100 clients that you don't have to really do any work for to get all the journal entries recorded and everything. And yet it's all been done. And from your client's point of view, he's going to see that things are really up to date. So, I mean, there's other work, which I'm not going into, trial balance work and um, preparing the financials. But once you're done with that, the final step is also how do you get the product to your clients? You know, it's a lot easier to deliver the product to the clients simply by following these steps that I'm going to point out here. So one thing is you can choose to email reports to the clients. So you can go to company preferences and you can choose which clients you want to email the report sets, either closed period report sets or closed year report sets, or both. Also, if you notice here, we have this send text alerts to clients. So this is very close to being done for what I'd showed earlier on the alerts. Another way that you can deliver the product to the clients, which I feel is more powerful and safer, is to auto archive to the cloud cabinet. It's safer because email is never completely safe, number one. These are going directly into our cloud cabinet. People can only see them if they have the ability to go in and see them. And it's more convenient because if you email to your clients or if you hand delivered to your clients financial statements or something, invariably, they're going to ask you a year from now, oh, where's my 2017 income statement? Or, you know, where was my accounts receivable aging from 4 months ago or something like that? In this case, since it's gone to the cloud cabinet, it can be easily retrieved at any time. You can set up the report sets. You would go under reports down to the bottom option under reports, and there's something there that's called build report sets, and you can choose exactly what you want to be included in the report set that goes out to the client. We are going to be adding a few more reports to these sets that you can send out to the clients also. That's something that's going to be what's new maybe in the 2 updates or so from now. And probably the most important piece that you can send to the clients in this report set is the performance analysis report. It gives graphs for income, gives summary. It also has information that would be on a page 2 and 3 of it, which is ratio information. It has receivables, payables, and if you're doing any budgeting work for your clients, it'll also show the budgeting and how they've been doing against what was budgeted. So it's a very powerful thing that you can send out and have included in a monthly report to your clients. So basically, I mean, these seem like all great things. So maybe you're wondering, well, how do you start offering CAS to your clients? And there's just a couple of things you need to remember. First of all, you don't really need more resources to offer CAS to your clients. That's the first thing to know. You don't need the resources of a larger firm in order to start offering these types of services. And finally, creating this type of successful CAS practice doesn't really require you to do any strategic shifts in the way you're running your firm. Now, I kind of touched on everything here, but there's a lot more that can be done and there's a lot more questions. Pricing, what type of clients are good? How do I roll out a service like this? And in order to get information like that, if you go to resources, supporting documents, we have something in there called Create Your CAS Practice. And this is a practical guide to creating your CAS practice. And what this is going to show you is various things like which clients are good to do. How do you choose the right clients? How do you communicate properly with your clients? How do you develop the right process to do it? And how do you implement the right type of pricing in order to turn this into really a profitable service? So it's very important that when you're done with that, you also look at this guide. I mean, when we're done with the webinar, that you also look at this guide. Now, I want to just touch on a couple of new features that we've added in the program since the last couple of updates, or since my last webinar. One thing we added was the ability to track who entered a transaction. Now, we did always have information which was available under reports, and then it's called the client activity report, who wrote a check. But beyond that, you didn't really have any information relating to this type of audit trail, I guess I would call it. So let's say you wanted to know who actually did the write-up information and came up with these entries. What you would do, if it was done through write-up, you go to write-up, edit transactions, you enter the period that you're looking for, and then it's going to tell you the login name of the client who made those transactions. Also, you have the ability to see all transactions, not just write-up transactions, by going to Integration, Export, select the period that you want to see, then you would click on the Excel button, and Excel worksheet's going to pop up, and you'll be able to see, in my case, of course, they were all done by me, but you would be able to see exactly who did which transactions, and you'll see which journal they were in. In this case, they're all sales journal. But this it can be very good. You're trying to figure out, well, who created that invoice? You know, maybe somebody's wondering an invoice is entered there that looks a little fishy or something. So there's always a way to track back and see what happened. It's also a good way to just keep track of, for your staff, how much work various members of the staff are doing or what type of transactions they've been entering. And going forward, we're also going to be changing the way the transaction reports display. So it'll be on them also. But for now, it's just these two places, the Excel that you can export to, and also on screen, but just for the write-up transactions on screen. So that's something that a lot of people have been asking for, and I'm very happy that we got it added. Also, you have the ability to add a suggestion directly from the support request. So what you can do is when you click on support from the system, the same place that you would submit a support request, you just click on suggestion. You write down exactly what it is you're looking for. Of course, this is just pretend, so I said, please add this, and then you write down a little description of it. I don't know if anybody remembers the day of the typewriters, but this is when I learned how to type, covers each and every letter. So it was like something that when you were learning how to type, you would enter a lot of. All of these are looked at. I personally look at each support request, and it's looked at by others in the office, and we get together. When we look, we decide, well, should we add this? Should we not add this? And there's 3 or 4 that are coming down down the pike right now that are strictly and directly from these support requests. So don't feel, when you're sending this support request, why am I doing it? It really is a useful tool for both you and for us. So I encourage everybody to go ahead and use it. We've added the support of more accounting periods. Now we added the 4-week, 13 period, 4-week accounting. That was maybe 8-9 months ago. And now we've also added the ability to have 445, 454, and 544. These are all specifically used a lot, I guess, in the hospitality industry. If you ever need them, you know that you need them. But they make it easier to, the 13 period, 4-week, makes it easier to have concise periods, especially for comparison with previous years. And the 445 makes it so that each quarter is exactly the same length also, which makes it easier for those type of things. And a lot of franchises and certain types of businesses will demand that you do the reporting in these types of periods. So this is just an example of how we're really trying to give more support to certain types of things. If you use payroll relief, you also know that we have a lot of special features for restaurants, and restaurants would be one of the industries that would use these periods. There's not too much more to show there other than the fact that you just come to change number of periods, and then you select which period or which period scenario you want to use. One other little change we made is we just have rearranged this screen a little bit. So the phone number is on this side. All business type information is over here on this side. A little while back, we made it where a few changes to how credit card entries are done. You can now attach a document from a credit card entry. Used to be that if you wanted to actually have a document or an invoice attached, you would have to do it from the expense screen. So you would have to set up an invoice and then attach the document from there. But in this case now, maybe you have a lot of clients, you don't really want to set up the invoice. You just want to pay it right as or your client wants to pay it right as they get the invoice. So all they do is they come here, they make the entry, they click on attach, and then they attach the document. And then they can see the information, and it cuts down on one step. You no longer have to set up the invoice somewhere else when you're doing a credit card type work. And clients are really more and more using credit cards to pay bills now. Also, from the pay bills screen, if something was entered as an invoice, you can select from this screen if you want to pay it by check, digital check, or by credit card. And the main way you do that is when you come to this screen, if you want to pay by credit card, from the expenses pay bill screen, you select the credit card payable account. And then you would just mark which ones you want to pay by credit card. And finally, also there's the ability from the credit card to register to see much as you would have with a cash register before. So you can see all the transactions on a particular credit card account. This is not really in accounting power, but it's something we added new. It's the ability to sign up for the AccountantsWorld daily headline news. All you do is from the main portal page, you click here to subscribe to the headline news. And I wanted to show this because usually I'm the one who does the news in the morning. So of course, I think this is very important for you to do. And just to give you an idea of what comes up in the headline news is every day we send out a newsletter with a lot of information that accountants are interested in. And today's news had our accounting pros underpaid. So as you can see, it also was the top read story for the day, for the whole week. And it's just good information that keeps you on top of what's happening in the industry. Tax law changes, especially this year. There's been a lot of changes and a lot of confusion over some of the changes. There's a lot of very good authoritative type articles on these things, the new tax laws. So that's how to sign up for the newsletter. We also have an alliance with Biz2 Credit. That's here. And Biz2 Credit is if you have clients who need to secure financing, this is a way to make it easier for them to get the financing. And with our alliance with Biz2 Credit, your clients get the financing they need, and you earn some revenue from the transaction if it gets done. It's easy to notify your clients of this alliance. Once again, back to this manage client notification screen. You just say which clients you want to send the email to. You select we are making business funding easier for you. And then an email goes out to the clients that you know are looking or should be looking for this type of information. And the final thing is program access for clients who you're not giving the bookkeeping to. So if you don't want to have, if you have a client who you're not going to really be doing bookkeeping work for, but you want them to be able to maybe view the dashboard, to write checks, and also to receive payments. You have the ability to do this now without signing them up for bookkeeping. This is only offered when you have Accounting Power CAS. Now that is what I wanted to show. Let's see what if there's any questions that I can answer now. One question is, it would be nice to have a weekly recurring invoice to be an option. I will bring that up, but one thing you could do is you can set up a template for an invoice. Now, it won't automatically recur, but then you can go in once a week for the client and go in and the invoice will be ready to send. You just select it from the template. I mean, it's not everything you're looking for in that, and it is something that we could be adding. The question is, what if somebody came behind us and made changes to the transaction? What we show is who last changed the transaction. So it's whoever made the last change is the one that's recorded in the system. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate, how much do the digital checks cost? I believe that it's a dollar per check. And it would be nice to have a video that we could send to the client. We have the training videos. And the client could be given the ability to view the training videos. And from the resources screen, they can also see the webinars, but that's only if they're given the ability to log into the system. And one final question, what happens if a client wants to leave our firm but still use Accounting Power? They cannot use Accounting Power without you. We do not market to clients at all. That's one major philosophy difference or philosophical difference between us and some of the major competitors. So that no client can say, no, I want to just be doing it myself. Now, if you happen to have a client who doesn't want to use the system, or if they're leaving and you want to give them their transactions or something, you can export all the transactions to Excel for them. Or if you want to, if they didn't want to continue using the system, you could export all the transactions to Excel. Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I really appreciate the time you give to listen to these things. I'm sorry about the mix-up in the first few minutes of the webinar. For whatever reason, the screens weren't advancing when I was advancing them. And feel free to email me if you have any suggestions, questions, comments, suggestions on things you would like to see in a future webinar. My name is David Manell. I'm the Director of Product Development here. My email is dmunnell@accountantsworld.com. And once again, thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming in and listening. Goodbye.